Hello, everybody, and indeed, welcome to another edition of Content Camp. Today, we have Frank Crowe, Curt Whitesell, and Mike Fleming, two entrepreneurs, I'd say, that are
Did you just say two, like the number two
are
entrepreneurs?
three entrepreneurs that hope, hopefully.
I wanted to hear how I was going to be introduced after the other two.
Just keep going, Lewis. No
Yeah.
edit.
Okay. So, my first question for you guys is why business? What got you into owning businesses, and uh, what's the attraction to it? Kurt, you can go first.
Um, I got into business out of pure desperation. I had kids at home. I had lost my job and I had to go to work. Um, but I had other options. I could have gone and gotten a job, but I'm not really employable. One thing I did realize is I'm tough to manage. And I think a lot of us that work for ourselves or are self-motivated don't need someone to tell us to show up to work every day and don't need to set goals for us or hover over our shoulder and monitor us or manage us. I'm not manageable. I'm not employable. Um, I have a hard time with authority. Just an overall chip on my shoulder, which makes probably most business people better at that than most. I just didn't want to go work for somebody else. And
Mm.
I knew that once I kind of got some of my legs under me with my company, I realized it was worth, I may not be, so I had to gauge, do I want to be, and I will talk for 90 minutes, Lewis. So you just interrupt me. I had to gauge that I'm not going to be, I will never be the $1 billion a year broker. I knew that. But I would rather be myself, create a good living, and have the flexibility that comes with owning your own company, as opposed to the stress of working for someone and even making more money. So
Hmm.
that's it.
What about you, Michael?
Well, let's see. I think desperation in a different vein. I think I waited until later in life to start my own business, and I worked for other people. I worked for a corporation, and then I worked for another entrepreneur who I really liked and respected, and I learned a lot from him. And after about 12, 13 years of seeing him do what he did and then doing everything for him, I decided, hey, if I'm going to be doing all this for someone else, he's making most of the money. Um, I think I can do this on my own, and that was what kind of was a light bulb moment. It took me a while in life, but I finally figured it out. And just a desire for independence, kind of like Kurt. I mean, just wanted to get out there and do it on my own. Didn't need anyone to tell me or show me how to do it anymore. But I'm still learning, always.
Always.
Interesting.
Frank, how about you?
Well, I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit ever since I was a kid. From I would say this: I always liked to make money, and I always had ideas on how to do it. And I also, so as I got older, I did go to work for a couple of different people, and similar to Michael, I was like, well, I can do this on my own. Um, and I kind of did it out of fear. And when I say that, it's because I didn't want to be on my deathbed someday wondering if I should have tried it. And so I was like, I have that fear of not trying things, and having regret. So I didn't want to regret not trying. If I failed, I wouldn't regret failing. I would regret not trying. So that's what spurred me to do it. I have I have more ideas than I should, and then my problem is trying to stay focused on one idea long enough to get it going. Because I'll be in the middle of a project and I'll have four other ideas, and then I gotta try to stay focused. But yeah, I just wanted to do my own thing from the beginning. And I found the awards business just because I had worked for somebody else, and it was a great outlet for my creativity. And I like making things, I like building things, I like coming up with new ideas. So it was a really good fit for me.
Hmm. How do you start a business? Like, I I understand the basic, like, create a hook, create a product, but what's like the behind the scenes? Like, some things you need like license, I think, or like what do you need for a startup?
Lewis, when I first started, I started a car detailing company once, which was stupid. And I went to my uncle, who I ended up going to work for a while. He actually got me into real estate. And I went and sat down with him. I had a little file of fat, whatever, the planner, and I had a whole list of things. And he listened to me rattle off all of it. And he said, "Go make money." He's like, "Go sell and get customers." And I was like, "Well, what about all this and like taxes? What about license, insurance?" He's like, "Okay, but your first thing is go sell something." And he was right. Like, to this day, I don't care how much planning or legal advice you get, you got to go sell something. And I think um, when that's always triggered to me when I get caught up in the planning stages of a new idea, I'm like, well, why don't I just go sell it? And then once I have a problem, then I'll fix it. So to me, the bat to starting a company is just selling something or fixing a problem.
Hmm. Is that the same for Michael and Frank? I mean,
Yeah, that is a strong component. I think, um, when I started my business, I did not have the business plan that everybody said you needed to have, and I still, I have objectives and I have a mission statement. I have in over the years, 8 years now, I've come up with that because they want you to talk about it when you do a presentation, and people you hire want to know kind of that sort of thing, and it speaks well to as you kind of build those sort of things. But Kurt's right. I think that and every time I talk with my CPA or the guy who helps me with my finances, you know, they in the company, keeps going, and it's miraculously each year we seem to do pretty well, and and I say, well, what do we need to do to get to the next level? And he always says to me, sell more, just sell more. So Kurt's exactly right on that. I don't. I think that's a big component of it. Now, the one other thing I'll just say quickly is that I am in a business where I didn't invent something. I don't hold a patent. I sell furniture, and there's a lot of furniture out there, and people can buy furniture anywhere. So the other thing you have to do is sort of, it's part of selling, really, but present yourself, present your business, so that people know who you are and want to establish and build relationships with you, which is, again, selling. So, well
yeah.
said.
Yeah, for us, I had been in the awards business, and it was more of those. I can do this on my own. I know what I'm doing. I would agree. The sales part of it, that was the biggest thing getting started was you got to have customers. Um, so how are we going to get those customers? When we started, my brother-in-law was actually our salesman. Um, he was an entrepreneur. He's not now. But he had a business in Chicago called Bartenders on Call, and they were a staffing company for all the bars in Chicago because there's a bar on every corner in Chicago, and when they want to take a vacation, they need someone to fill that spot. That's what he did. He created this business where they would have bartenders that would go out to different bars and fill in for the bartenders that wanted to be on vacation. And then that rolled into doing, you know, they were doing parties, and they were staffing bars for different events or whatever. But I had talked to him about, hey, I think I want to do this awards business. You're in business. What do I like, kind of like what you were talking about. What do I need to do? And he's like, well, you need to have customers. What's the plan? How are you going to do this? So I was actually in Chicago over a weekend for Thanksgiving. Um, and we just kind of hammered out what we needed to do. And I went home, and then he called me a week later and said, you know what? I will move to Indy. I'm going to get rid of bartenders on call. Let's start the awards business. And it just kind of rolled from there. I built everything. He he bartended at night and did sales during the day, and that's how we got started.
And
Frank and Mike, before you guys hopped on, Curt was chit-chatting, and I said something that to me was it's going to be maybe the thing that really sticks with me or makes me think now for a long, long time. Curt said, I think, Curt, you said, if you're in business is marketing. Like that's what it is. I've never heard someone really describe kind of so all in the that you must get customers, you must get the word out. You have to state your case for why you exist and why people need what you do. I've never heard someone say it quite as forcefully as saying it that way. It is marketing. Um, Curt, do you make a distinction or do you value, let's say, marketing over selling?
all day long, I would spend 10 times the amount of time marketing as I do selling. I don't think anyone really sells anymore. I think people, and the differentiator to me is I call Michael to sell him a piece of real estate. I'm not going to be able to convince Michael to change his mind or go a different route based on any anything great. But I guarantee you, I can get Michael to buy into if he's looking for space or looking for a piece of land. I guarantee I can get him to buy into what I'm doing after him seeing me talk about it for months and months and months. That I'm an expert. I know what I'm talking about. I'm serious about it. I'm trustworthy. And so that's me. I'm a back end like I do my deal from the back end instead of trying to sell them up front. And so, yes, marketing 10 times as much as I ever would. And one thing, Lewis, I wanted to point out on the last thing, you're in this podcast, it's a group of like bootstrappers. And there is a whole new way of doing things today where it's like, all right, I'll hire my accountant, I'll hire my web designer, I'll hire a social media person. And when you said, how do you start a company? The guys here on this page, including your dad, we're like sit down at a table, figure it out, make connections, and sell our own shit, And there's a whole nother world today. Like my son, he's 18. He will never, ever, ever use social media. He'll just never do it. But
Wow.
he gets the value of it. And so he likes it, but he'll never do it. And so he brought on a buddy of his to do his social media for a little company they're starting. So we're all, and maybe I'm misspeaking for everybody, but over the last 20, it's changed. There was a long period here in the early 2000s where everybody they bootstrapped. They did everything themselves. We all learned how to do social media. We all learned how to network. We all learned how to, do all that stuff. So I think there's a lot of change ahead of us. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to sub everything out. The 3 minute, what is it? 3 hour work week is not in Curt Whitesell's head. So,
4 hour, actually.
is it a 4 hour?
4 hour. Not that it matters. I totally agree with you, Curt.
You know what I mean, though? That book?
Yeah. That's like my day today. I mean, I'm kind of like trying to get used to it also. Old school. Like today, I had to be back at my house today to meet an appliance repair person of all mundane things. And I have an office. I have a brick and mortar office because I'm an old school person and I do have a need for it in many ways. But I purposely drove down to my office to be there at 7:30 and be in my desk and because I'm comfortable with that. even though I knew there was a guy that was going to be here sometime between whatever the 8 to 9 hour window they give you is. And luckily he calls me ahead of time. But there are all these new ways of doing business, like we're on this Zoom call right now.
Mhm.
And these are things that are still somewhat challenging for me to get accustomed to doing. And it's a whole new way of operating for sure. I mean, AI is coming in and starting to affect our business and you know, trying to kind of get your hands and head around all those things and build it into your business and how you operate is it is quite a new way of doing things for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about AI? You think it's a benefit, or do you think it's totally gonna you think it's a tool or not a tool, I guess?
It's amazing.
It's definitely,
I spend half my time waiting for attorneys to respond to lease changes and purchase agreement changes, and literally we plug it into Grok or Claude, and it does what that attorney would have done for a week straight. It's fascinating to me. I have everybody here probably uses Claude, but I live in Claude. It runs my day. It runs every listing. It runs every marketing campaign. It runs my calendar. And I think people that adapt to it and use it properly, it's phenomenal. The people that all they do is create flyers with it and it writes their emails probably aren't benefiting from it. But I love it. It's amazing. I can't spell or write, and I'm not I mean, how many of us guys have tried to find a graphic designer we can afford to do something for us, a flyer or something? It's outrageous, right? And because we're small, we're one-off guy. I'm small, and it's amazing. Claude will spit something out at me that that logo behind you today costs 10 seconds of our time instead of $900. So totally different.
Yeah.
That's it's funny you say that, because that's what I studied in school, was art and graphic design.
Was it?
I would be terrified if I were a graphic designer in school today. I'd be terrified.
Yeah,
You better find a way to make yourself different than everybody else, or you don't have a job.
Yeah,
for sure.
How about computer science degrees? I have a nephew that
From Ball State.
Nephew went to Rose Holman, and he's got a mechanical engineering degree, so he went the right path. But he has friends who have a computer science degree from Rose Holman, and they cannot find a job. It's crazy.
The coding's a mess. I'm glad I'm not in coding right now, but
that's another thing. So my son just graduated from IU last year, and he went to the Luddy School, but he did cybersecurity, and luckily he found a job fairly quickly. He's not doing exactly cybersecurity, but there's a component to it. So he works for a company that actually makes a product for parking garages that has sensors and cameras, and they teach this system partially through AI, how to recognize cars, how to recognize if there's open spaces in the garage, and then they go sell the system to like new garages, or they'll update an old parking garage. So that way, if you're driving in, it'll tell you, yeah, there's spaces available and this is where they are, or whatever. And it's all driven by sensors and cameras and the software that they created. I talked to him a lot about AI and what his thoughts on it are. He's not as afraid of it, I would say, or skeptical of it as I am. He's 23, and he sees it just as another tool in your toolbox, and it's going to, make things faster, make things easier, and everyone will adapt to it. It will change the world, and it'll change, just like there's not horse and buggy makers, people aren't making buggies anymore, but it'll just change what the workforce is working on and how they work. probably more so than taking everybody's job. I think and I kind of agree with him on that.
I
But
feel like,
as like a graphic designer, though,
yeah,
it's terrifying.
right.
He and they were on a bike team for IU for Little Five, and they were coming up with different logos, and they made their own beer cans and all this kind of stuff. And he showed me all the renderings. I'm like, who did this for you? And he goes, oh, we just did it with AI.
Yeah.
And I was like, how long did that take? And he goes, a couple minutes. I'm like, that would take me a week to lay out storyboard for that, or whatever. Back in the day, it would have taken forever.
For
But
sure.
like in our industry, lasers have changed what used to be done. The old mom and pop trophy shop would have an engraving machine. And literally what we did our first job with, it was an engraving machine that we pulled out of a dumpster and got to work. And now our lasers can do what used to take a team of people to do. And it'll do it in an afternoon. And it just gets faster and faster and faster. So probably AI is similar to that. But if you're a graphic designer, you better find out what you're going to do.
Yeah, well, and as Curt mentioned earlier, it sounds like he's replaced, at least in some ways, his attorney with Grok, and we've done the same.
Yeah.
I was in a meeting a few weeks ago where we decided, okay, we need to fire up a new kind of non-disclosure agreement for someone, and gee, how do we get a hold of our attorney? And then we just realized, why? Let's just have AI do it, and we did, and it was fine.
Yeah.
Um, I suspect that these are reminders of the importance of some of the absolute main blocking and tackling of being a competent human being. Things that are so easy to forget, like interpersonal skills, networking skills, um, how to learn as opposed to what to learn. It does feel like we're in the age now of what you learn is maybe not, you can't depend on it serving you well for a long time. But if you became really, really good at how to learn, that could be pretty slick.
I would totally agree with that. Being able to uh, constantly evolve and learn through life, you're constantly learning new things. That's going to separate the people, especially this younger generation. And I think you hit it right on the head, Tony, with interpersonal skills and being able to just communicate with each other uh, on a human level. And that's going to help people kind of go back to what we talked about earlier with the marketing. That's how you're going to market yourself. Companies are going to want to hire good people. And if you can market yourself as you're a good person, you know what you're talking about, you can learn, you can think, that's going to help get you in the door. And then, being able to market yourself within the company takes you to the next step.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would kind of piggyback on that in some ways. The learning part of it, going back to why we started our business, and it also relates to AI and just the creativity of it all. But people who I started my business for the reasons I stated. But one of the things I love about furniture and what I love about having my own business is I have to learn new things almost every day. And AI is something that is it's like kicking us in the butt to a point where we've got to even kind of kick the afterburners in and learn even more. I mean, and so that part to me is exciting. It's scary at times too, I think, but starting your own business in some ways was definitely nerve wracking and I guess to some degree scary in some ways for sure. I mean, you kind of go out there and you're out on a limb and you're just kind of grabbing for things and trying to make it work for a long time. And then you're still doing it. Like I had a guy, um, you know, one of the most challenging things I think about having a business is, I have a team of people, and the one thing that I never anticipated and never really planned for or understood to the degree is the importance of the people. AI is doing all these things and it's kind of removing the need for people. But in my business anyway, I mean, we're still doing business on relationships. Relationships are everything. And I don't think AI will take that away. And if it does, I think it will be temporary. I think that humans have to have that interaction. And I think that our businesses are based on that human interaction. Whether we have components that are assisting us remove certain human components or not, the base element of it all is that human interaction. Excuse me.
Yeah, and I hope that never changes,
we had a pizzeria during COVID, and I remember how everybody said COVID is going to change how people do food forever. And everybody started trying to create a there's no touch, there's no human interaction process to doing food, and that it couldn't be further than gone today. So I think it's like everybody says that's going to happen. Like Michael, you said, that we hope that AI doesn't take away the human. I think it's all phases. We try to replace the human connection because we're really uncomfortable with other people. But in the end, we want to walk in and order a pizza from a dude, right? We want to walk in and talk to Frank and say, "Hey, Frank, this is what I want my award to look like." And Michael, I want 4 legs on my chair, not 3, because AI keeps telling me 3 will work. So I don't think I think it's a fad thing. I think everybody gets excited and really thinks it can work. And some dude that doesn't want to talk to people hopes it does. But in the end, we come back to where people talk to people. So
that's an interesting standpoint, Curt, coming from someone who, earlier you just described how absolutely you're like all in using, you mentioned Claude, using it very, very much. So I think it's cool that you seem to be saying that yes, there's a place that it's very, very useful, but it's not going to replace interpersonal skills.
Yeah.
It replaces the support staff. That's what it does. It replaces my research time. It replaces the universities, but it does not replace me being able to sit in front of you, Tony, and talk about a problem you have and fix it.
So you younger generation, what is your thoughts on AI?
Oh yeah, let's start with Ben. You have your hand raised. You've been quiet as a church mouse, Ben.
Amber over there. Is that Amber?
It's her son Ben is yeah.
I told Tony about this. So what is the most interesting part about your business?
That's your question you've been saving up.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get back to your AI question here in a second. Or actually, Ben, let's have you answer it first. Let's have you and Lewis answer the question first. What are your thoughts on AI? How do you feel about it? And then we'll get back to your question for the guys.
All right.
Like, how do you view AI? Is it going to be life-changing? Is it going to help you? Is it going to hurt your career prospects?
I mean, I would say like ChatGPT can be helpful, but like I actually you know how like people in different countries like make robots and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of trust that, but my dad he thinks he thinks robots are gonna invade the world.
I like your dad.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of worried about that. I kind of don't want I kind of don't want a world against robots and humans. Yeah, it would be like terrible.
Yeah, that could hurt. Lewis, what about
Ben, what's your goal? What do you want to? You're on this podcast. You're doing something business related. What is the business you want to go into, or do we not know yet?
Uh, I actually have one. When I like turn 18, I have a career in plan. My goal is to graduate high school, and my my second goal is to join the U.S. Navy.
There we go.
Because well, I want to serve my country.
Yeah.
And let's see. My goal, and when I retire, uh, I might, I might, I might like save up or something like that to make like a restaurant, in Texas.
Mhm.
It's called Ben's Barbecue, or we could do like Las Vegas stuff like that.
Good about Vegas. Can you imagine the AI they're using in the military?
No way, bro.
Like, you want to go in the military? Can you imagine what they're using for process and technology and all that stuff? Can you imagine?
Wait, wait. I think no, not for the U.S. I would probably say like I don't know, like the Chinese. They invented like tech, like futuristic stuff, man.
I bet.
Like, I mean, for the military. Well, I asked my dad this like a few months ago or something, or maybe last year. I don't know. I said, who would win in a fight, the U.S. or China? And he said, oh, China would be cooked.
Oh.
Well, I mean, America is the strongest country in the world. Not to be rude.
I don't think a real winner would come out of that one, quite honestly.
Yeah.
What a mess. Lewis, what do you want? I know we're going over to I'm not in charge of this podcast, but I want to know AI and Lewis.
Yeah. So I want to be a musician. That's my big dream is I want to build a character that's in show business. And
are you ready?
I am not ready now. How about you?
Yeah.
Mhm.
How you feel?
Good.
Excited or?
Yeah.
So we are talking here about music. How old are you that you feel like you have the passion of music?
Ooh.
That you feel that you really like music?
I first developed the passion for music when I was around maybe 11 or 12. That's when it really started. But I've been playing piano my whole life.
Wow, that's very awesome.
Really kind of dominate the music industry. That's my dream. And I've been trying to look at it in a business perspective of like, how do I market myself? How do I sell my music to people? How do I make it attractive and all this stuff? And AI is definitely scary in that field. But my one thing that I keep holding on for hope is that it's really kind of lifeless. And I I truly think this like the 70s was like the best of music. I think that's where music and people interacted most was. I think it was just because it was before a lot of like the digital stuff, but
You haven't twerked to Kid Cudi yet. All right, you have it. Sorry.
Yeah, but it was just so it was so immersive. Like it was honest music. Like it was so like people could it was guaranteed that okay that's them playing and all this stuff. But now you there's so many like behind the scenes stuff that's just with AI that's kind of destroying the industry. But I think people eventually figure that out and kind of maybe they'll hook onto it, but I think they'll get bored with it after a long time. So
So do you think, Louis, do you think AI is diminishing the creative juices of musicians out there? I mean, is it are people relying on it too much to as a crutch to help sort of be the impetus for the music?
yeah, definitely. And that it's very sad to see as a musician, but there it brings opportunity. I mean, if that becomes a standard, someone like me who could just pop out of nowhere, right out of left field with all this life and creativity, it
Brilliant.
could really,
And authenticity, right?
yeah, it could really work.
Human authenticity. Yeah. I think that's very insightful.
Yeah, and I've been kind of watching that just to try and time it right. And
Mm-hmm.
it seems like around every 30 years there's a music reset, like with the Beatles and then Nirvana, and then we're kind of at that 30-year period again. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, around now is when music's going to start changing again. But yeah.
Do you think
It's
AI, in terms of the music, do you think that it 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 would fall short? I would think it would fall short, especially for live music.
Oh, yes.
It's manufactured music, but you want to see live music, which my wife loves going to see live music.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know at this point how AI, I mean, unless it's a robot up on the stage or everything's, dubbed in, like, and you're lip syncing it, but
Yeah.
people see that pretty quick. Um, where, real live musicians, and there's an energy to it. And like, I think I think you're right in that you're seeing that, that's where AI will come short. It doesn't have a soul. It's not from a human perspective. It's just from what it's learned.
Yeah.
I think this is actually this is why the Guinness Book of World Records is so fascinating, especially to kids. People love seeing what other human beings can actually accomplish. And I think we also love this idea that we don't want the record holders to have cheated. That totally kills it. And I do think AI music is there's going to be an element of what's the point? We want to see what a real person can do. Lewis has had on a musical journey. Lewis has had a very interesting childhood. You know, I showed him. When he was a little kid, I showed him all sorts of my favorite recordings of live concerts, but they were all from back in the day before auto tune, before kind of lip syncing and all that stuff. So he grew up watching all these artists who could really play their instruments, who could really sing. Everything was authentic. So in an interesting way, what's happening in pop culture right now is very foreign to him.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Um by the way, I love Taylor Swift, but we used to like go to like fish shows and stuff, and there
Hmm.
was always the space music, which was all digital in between sets. And like it was super cool, the dude got lost in the jam. But in the end, it never overshadowed the band on stage. It was cool. but I think it's just a great example is you can't replace the actual human up on stage doing their thing. So
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Hey,
so you do your thing, Lewis.
let's not forget to address Ben's question, which I think was, what's for each of you, what's like your most the most exciting part of your businesses? Did I get it right, Ben? Is that your question?
What's hold on, I'll tell you. What's the most interesting part of your business?
Most interesting part. Got it.
Yeah.
I'll go first, I guess. Furniture, for me, furniture has the design part, the design component of the business. We sell something tangible. And we also sell other things like the planning of the layout of where the furniture is going to go. Tangible, but the furniture itself, it's constantly evolving and changing. And a primary example of that is we just had a huge, every year in June up in Chicago in 2 different locations, the Merchandise Mart and a place called Fulton Market. All these furniture manufacturers have huge showrooms, and we go there every year and we look and see what they've done that's new and what's exciting and what their latest and greatest is. And so that to me is the most, I think, interesting thing, is seeing how the ever evolving part of the furniture that we sell just keeps changing. We went up there this year and we saw a chair that you will probably all see and you will all want at your desk as soon as you see it. It's like 20 years ago, there was a chair called the Aeron chair, which came out, was introduced by a company called Herman Miller, and it was 1995, and no one had ever seen a chair made of those materials and that design. And I remember even when I was out in California selling that chair to people, and they said, wow, that's so far out. It just looks crazy. I don't want that in my office. It just looks bizarre. I want this leather chair, a tufted leather chair. And now, fast forward, those chairs, they have sold more of those chairs for people's desks than anywhere else in the world. And this chair we saw, what is it? Is that 30 years? I can't do math very well because I sell furniture, but from 1995 to 2026, there's another chair, and we saw it, and it was invented by one man, a human, not AI, not a robot. And he invented it out of a need. He had a severe car accident, and he needed a chair that was going to provide him with comfort for the issues that he had with his body. And lo and behold, this chair has come about, and it won every single award it could possibly win at this trade show that happened over this past weekend and Monday and Tuesday. And I feel certain that it will be just one of those game-changing elements. And to me, that's the most interesting thing, is design and particularly furniture for me. But you think about everything we see and touch, whether it's a telephone pole or a guitar or a piece of furniture, the design lives in everything. And I find that very fascinating.
That would segue right perfectly into what I would say too. I agree. Everything's about this in our world is about design. What I'm really excited about is we're getting involved more with 3D printing. And we've invested in 3D printers, and we have FDM printers and resin printers, and being able to take an idea and prototype it so quickly, laser cutting and coupling that with our 3D printers, and then also with our UV printers and being able to print on what we 3D print. I'm very excited about some of the stuff that we're working on right now. I can't work on it fast enough. Everything else is in my way. I want to work on that all the time, just because it's so new, and the sky's the limit with it, and not a lot of people are involved in it yet. And I know everyone will be involved in it fast. So we're trying to be ahead of the curve. But that's what I'm excited about.
Curt, how about you?
So I like that. Right, the most fascinating thing to my business is My clients, people I work with, not me, but my clients change how people live. So they create downtowns, they create city centers, they create gathering spaces, they do commercial, it's commercial real estate. So it goes from farm ground to suddenly there's, 200 apartments and a restaurant and all kinds of cool stuff that change how people interact with that space. So in Westfield, if you think about it, uh, even 10 years ago, you drove through it or you went to Grand Park and left. And now people go to those things. They go to Grand Park, but then they stay and go to something else. Park Street, all the restaurants. It's cool to see an entire market created uh, for my clients. So I love that. The other thing I really find fascinating is where else do you get to talk about $100 million and $200 million in a project? I mean, to me, I think that's awesome. The numbers to me are fascinating. The risk people take is fascinating. And watching a developer take a piece of dirt and turn it into home for 200 people and the livelihoods for 4 businesses on one little piece of dirt that a few years ago was farm ground, to me is fascinating. So that's probably it. And
Awesome.
the women.
That was very interesting. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's about all the time we have. But thank you guys so much for talking to us. It's been so fun. And I hope to see you again soon.
Lewis, is everyone going to get backstage passes if you reach your? We got to get
yes.
something.
Yeah.
I'm in the mosh pit. What are you talking about?
And what do you mean? What do you mean? If it's certain to happen?
Yeah.
There you go. That's
faith.
the spirit.
I have faith.
How do we follow? How do we follow what Lewis and Ben and Amber do?
Like them on Facebook. Are you probably not on Facebook?
They're not on Facebook.
They're not on Facebook.
I am for my music stuff, actually.
Oh,
yeah, I can actually send you guys some links.
That would be great.
I'll follow up with an email and send you guys links. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Lewis,
Yeah.
I had a quick question. What instruments do you play?
I play pretty much everything except reed and brass.
Okay, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I admire music. I have no musical talent at all. None. I admire anyone that can play any instrument.
Why, thank you.
thank you for inviting me, Lewis.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. It's yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
thank you guys. Thank you guys very much for your time. It was great to see you all again.